Hi, and welcome back to yoga. Tonight's class is the 26 remix class. So if you are new here, the 26 remix is my shortened version of the classic 26 and 2 postures, very commonly referred to as Bikram yoga. This is a shortened version, so class will be about 45 minutes. And the remix part is because there's a couple other different poses thrown in there too. So I like to mix it up a little bit so you don't get the same exact set of poses that you would get in a traditional hot yoga class. Let's get started. Let's begin in the center of your mat, feet together. Just a couple breaths to check in with the body. Find balance here. Weight is slightly in the heels. Shoulders are down and relaxed, stacked over your hips, which are stacked over your knees and which are over your ankles. Nice and tall. Feel the mat underneath your feet. Just a couple of breaths here. Let's begin with our first breathing exercise. Feet hip width apart. Going to bring our hands out in front, palms to touch. On an inhale, we're going to expand our chest by engaging our upper back slightly. Open the arms, fill the lungs with air, and slowly rise up on the toes. Exhale, slowly come back down. Close the arms, slightly engage the abs. Let's try that again. Inhale, breath in, on the toes. Exhale, come down nice and slow. Inhale up. Exhale back down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale down. Feet together. Hands at your sides. Take a rest. Okay, first pose. Half moon series. Stand feet together. Going to bring our left arm up overhead. Inhale, and on the exhale, bend to the right. Squeeze the right side of your abs. Bring your shoulder down as if it were trying to touch your hip. Trying to make the C shape with the whole right side of your body. Relax and release the left side of your abs. And squeeze just the right. See if you can isolate just the right side. It takes a little bit of practice. Squeeze a little deeper. And come back up. Change. Left arm down. Take a breath. Other side. Right arm comes up. Inhale. And on the exhale, squeeze the left side of your body. Trying to make that C shape with the left side. Trying to connect your right shoulder with your left shoulder with your left hip. Squeeze the left abs while relaxing and releasing the right side. Squeeze a little more. and change. Back up, right arm comes down, take a breath. Next to the back bend, I'm going to face the short side of my mat, hands at my chest, starting with the back bend, engaging the back of the neck by sticking the chin out and up, starting to curl the spine backwards. First the upper back, the mid back, and then the low back. And once you get there, engage the glutes, push the hips forward, and release. And change, slowly come up. Take a breath. Inhale. And fold forward on the exhale. If you need to bend your knees so that your palms can touch the floor, go ahead. Otherwise, try and straighten the legs. On your next exhale, squeeze the abs, curl the front side of the body forward, trying to touch your shoulders to your hips and pushing the lower back up to the sky. Weight is in your heels. Bend the spine forward. And release. Walk the hands forward. Take an inhale. Exhale here. Maybe bend the knees. Straighten the legs. For version 2. In this version, we are going to hinge at the hips. So instead of curling the spine like we did in the last pose, we're going to hinge at the hips, leaving the back straight and bringing the top half of our body down for a fold. Maybe grabbing for the ankles and trying to touch your chin to your shins. And release. Slowly roll up. Come back to the center of your mat. Hands at your side, feet together, and take a rest. Okay, next up is our warrior sequence. So face the short side of your mat towards the back, feet together. We're going to step the left leg forward, right leg comes back. Up on your toes, arms can come out to the side here, or they can come at prayer, whichever's easier for you. Start to straighten that back leg and squeeze the right glute. As you squeeze the glute, lower down into your warrior. Hands at the chest. And as you're squeezing that right glute still, try and take your hips and push your hips forward. Don't allow your back to continue to arch, but actively push the hips forward. And in doing so, while you're squeezing your glute, you're stretching the psoas muscle, which is a difficult muscle to find. Squeeze the glute and push the hips forward. And change. Step forward, feet together, take a breath. Second side, left foot comes back, take a big step back, up on the toes, straighten both legs, hands at the chest or out to the side, whichever is easier for you. Squeeze the left glute, and as you squeeze, lower into your right lunge. Squeezing the glute, push the hips forward, and really get that stretch right in through this area right here. Squeeze and push. And release. Step forward. Come back to the center of your mat. And take a rest. Next up, standing hand to foot. And stand with our hands on our hips. Weight in our left foot, right foot up on your toe. Keep the right hand on the hip, left hand comes out, and you're going to try and catch your big toe by taking your pointer fingers and wrapping them around your big toe. Trying to balance here. If you'd like more of a challenge in this pose, maybe extend the leg forward. Or not, up to you. And change. Bring the right foot down, feet together. Take a breath. Other side. Weight in the right foot. Hand on the left hand on the hip. Reach for the left toe. And balance. Maybe extend the leg. And change. Foot down, feet together, hands at your sides, and take a breath. Try and find that space of perfect balance. With your weight slightly in your heels, letting all of your bones do the work of balance. Next up is standing bow pose. Facing the short side of your mat, going to raise the left arm up, right arm comes out, and you're going to catch your foot with your right hand. From here, bend the spine. This is a back bend, but also a balance. Bend the spine, and as you bend, start to bring the body forward, keeping the leg up. And change. Come down. Take a breath. Other side. Bring the right arm up. Left arm comes out to the side, catching the inside of your left foot, and start to arch the back, keeping the foot up, lowering the upper body. And change. Come back down. Standing in the middle, feet to center. And take a breath. All right, next up, balancing stick. Walk to the back of your mat, hands on your hips. We're going to step the right foot forward. And as I balance on my right foot, I'm going to start to bring my left leg up and my upper body forward. Almost like I'm making a T shape. And change. Come back to the back of your mat. Take a breath. Other side. Step with the left foot forward, right foot behind you. And as you lift, keeping the spine neutral, start to hinge the body forward. And step back to the center of your mat, feet together, and take a breath. You know, sometimes the balancing poses can be challenging. Those are definitely my weakness, as you can see with my wobbles. But, you know, if you struggle with those like I do, just let them go. We have many more poses in this sequence today. Most of them are not balance poses, so we can move on and just focus on what's next. Let that pose go. Just clear the mind and breathe. All right, next pose is not a pose that's traditionally practiced in the 26 and 2 sequence, but I think it's kind of fun. This is called guillotine, and the full expression of guillotine is a very advanced pose. It's extremely difficult. I actually am not there yet, personally, but there is a prep pose that we can try, that we can use to try and practice and work our bodies into this position. So we're going to start with the feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. You don't want them too wide, and you don't want them so narrow that if you come down into a squat, you can't fit in between. So just slightly wider than the hips. And we're going to come down onto the ground. From here, I find it helpful to come up on the toes a little bit, but you're welcome to keep your feet flat. That's also fine. In the full expression of the pose, you will want your feet flat, but for this next part, I find it a little easier to come up on the toes to try and settle in. So what we're ultimately trying to do is we're trying to wrap the legs over the shoulders in a position similar to this, higher up on the shoulders if you are able. I am not, but for nonetheless, we can still practice. So we're trying to come down in between our legs, wrapping our shoulders, wrapping our knees over our shoulders, looping the hands around. You can put your hands behind your feet for stability, right in the middle for stability, and eventually we want to be able to sit back and actually loop our bodies through. But until we're there, we are going to try this. Head down, and once you're here, we're going to try and straighten the legs. And release. Walk the arms out. Roll back up. Feet together. And take a rest. Ultimately, what we're trying to do in guillotine pose is we're trying to bring our body all the way through our legs and then wrap our arms around our back with our, it's difficult to describe without actually seeing it, but I would encourage you to Google guillotine pose and you can see that full expression. Next pose is triangle pose. Take a step wider than hip width apart, pretty wide here. We're going to turn the right toes to the right, left toes are going to face forward, lunging into our right side, keeping our knees over our ankles, palms forward, squeeze the right side of the abs, bend to the right, fingers graze the floor, gaze up at the left thumb, chin towards your shoulder. Squeeze the right side abs. And change, slowly come up. Turn your right toes forward, left toes to the side, palms forward, sink into that left side. Knees over your ankles, bend the left abs, squeeze and bend to the left, fingertips graze the floor, gaze at the right thumb. And change, come back up. Walk your feet together. Stand with your hands at your sides. Weight slightly in the heels and take a break. Couple of breaths here. All right, next pose, standing separate legs, head to knee. So we are going to start by facing the short side of our mat. My left leg is behind me with my toes facing the upper left corner. My right foot is in front, toes facing forward. Arms are coming up overhead, but be careful not to hunch your shoulders up. You want to keep them relaxed. Palms together if you can touch. If not, keeping them straight up is fine also. We're going to bend the spine forward by tucking our chin, curling the top half of our body, and trying to connect our shoulders to our hips, curling down and aiming to get our forehead to our knee. Squeeze the abs, lengthen the low back. And change. Come all the way back up. Swivel the feet so that the right foot's behind you. Toes are facing the upper right corner. And your left foot is in front, toes facing forward. Other side. Engage the front side of the body by tucking the chin, curling the spine forward, and trying to touch your forehead to your knee. And change. Come back up. Stand in the middle of your mat, feet together, and rest. Couple of breaths here. Okay, next up is half lotus tree. If you are new to yoga and you've never practiced half lotus tree before, I would encourage you to do traditional tree, in which case you're going to place the sole of your foot either on your calf or up on the inside of your thigh. Whatever you do, just don't put it directly over your knee. You want to protect that joint, so either just below it or just above it. If you are practicing half lotus tree, we're going to begin by putting the weight in our left side. We're going to bring our right knee up, squeezing it tight, placing the ankle in the upper left side of your hip, hands at prayer, opening the hip and balancing. and change. Bring the right leg down. Other side. Standing with the weight in your right foot, we're going to bring the knee up, keeping the knee nice and tight and closed, rotating the hip once the heel is on the upper right thigh. Hands at prayer and balance. And change. Bring the left leg down, feet together. Take a breath. Let's come down onto the mat. Lay on your back, legs long. We're going to bring the left leg in, bend the knee, clasp the hands or hold right on top of your shin, right below the kneecap, and gently hug the knee into the chest. Continue to breathe. And feel the compression in your abdomen from your thigh pressing down. Breathe into the compression. And release. Other side. Bend the right knee, bring it into the chest. Hold on the top of the shin, just below the kneecap. If this is difficult, you're also welcome to interlace your fingers and pull them behind your thigh. So not directly behind the knee, but just below it, and you can pull your thigh into your chest, your abdomen that way. Feel that compression and continue to breathe into it. And release. Take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, bring both knees in. Hugging the knees either on the top of the shin or again below the legs, that's also fine. Try and grab your hand and again tug the knees and the thighs into the chest and abdomen and breathe into that compression. And release. Rest for a moment in corpse pose, but please keep your eyes open. Extend the arms overhead. And on an exhale, come all the way up. Reach for your toes or your ankles or your shins. Get a nice stretch in here. Okay, next pose is another pose that's not traditionally practiced in this sequence, but we are going to try it today. This is crow pose. If this is a new pose for you, we'll start from the beginning. We'll go through a prep, and then I'll give an option for people to try full crow. So to begin, let's stand with your feet together, toes turned slightly out, and come down onto your toes here. So you see I'm balancing on my toes here. Bring your hands, palms open directly in front, where your elbows are right where your knees are. Tuck your pelvic bone, This is actually a forward bend, a slight forward bend here. So you're engaging the abs, engage the core, curl your lower abs and your pelvis in, and start to put the weight into your hands as you kneel on the backs of your triceps. From the side, this is what that looks like. So I'm here, I'm on my toes, hands. I'm tucking my lower back. I'm not letting my back arch. I'm tucking it and rounding it. And I'm putting the weight in my hands. If you're here and you feel pretty good, maybe try lifting one foot, try lifting another foot. If you're able to, maybe go for a full crow. If you can balance, up to you. Otherwise, just keep the weight in your hands as much as you can. And come back, release. Good. Let's come back to the floor. Turning and laying with our bellies on the mat. Rest here for a moment. Okay, next pose, full cobra. So feet behind, tops of the feet pressing into the mat, hands underneath your shoulders. Try and engage your spine as much as you can for this, and only relying on your arm strength once your spine, your back muscle strength has maxed out. So from here, we're going to engage the upper back of the neck, stick the chin forward, use the back muscles to lift up, and once you can't lift any further, use your arm strength to continue the back bend. And come back down. Relax, forehead to the mat. Next pose is full locust. So legs straight behind you, arms out to your sides. On an inhale, we're going to lift everything, arms, head, neck, chest, hips, legs, feet off the mat, squeezing the entire backside of our body. Ready? And inhale and lift. Squeeze the back, engage all those muscles. And release. Relax, forehead to mat. Slowly come back up off your mat, coming to our knees. Standing on our knees, keep them about hip width apart. Camel pose. Place your hands on your lower back as if you were sliding them into back pockets. Engage the neck by sticking the chin out and up. Start to bend the back. If this is comfortable for you, maybe reach for the heels. Push the hips forward. Continue bending. Maybe reach down to the floor if you can. Maybe stretching over the head. Try the other arm. Keep pushing the hips forward. And change. Slowly start to come up, hands to the lower back. Slowly bring the head up. And come down to a seat on your mat. Let's take a couple breaths here. Half tortoise. Come to a seat on your heels. Bring the arms up overhead, palms to touch. Bend the spine forward, engaging the abs slightly, using your core strength to lower your body down. Hands out in front, forehead to the mat. Slowly come back up. Again, using some core strength on that one. Arms come down. Great. Let's lay back on our mat again. And we're going to keep our knees bent with our heels just raising our fingertips. We're going to put our palms right next to us. We're going to do 2 rounds of this pose. The first round, we're all going to do bridge together. And then in the second round, if you would like, you're welcome to try wheel. So for bridge, we're going to press our feet into the mat, press our shoulders into the mat, press our palms and our arms into the mat, and lift our hips up. Squeeze the glutes and push. Push the feet into the mat. Push the palms into the mat, push the shoulders into the mat, and lift those hips up. Squeeze the glutes. And release. You're welcome to stay with another round of bridge. But if bridge was pretty good for you and you feel like you want more of a challenge, let's try wheel. With wheel, I'm going to place the palms facing backwards right under the shoulders. And with that same force that we pushed our hips up, we're pushing them up again here, but also pushing our upper body up as well. Squeeze the back. Keep the feet planted into the mat. And slowly come down. Being careful not to drop on your head, trying to drop on the back. Protect the neck. Lower back down. Feet lay long. And let's take a breath here. Slowly come up, bring your arms up overhead, sitting up, reaching for the toes. And let's move into pigeon pose. So facing the short end of your mat, I'm going to bring my right leg out forward so it makes an L shape. And my left leg is coming tucked underneath, tops of the feet into the mat. And I'm sitting up, upright, trying to get this hip to touch the floor here. Your right hip should be on the floor. If it's not on the mat, you're welcome to stick a towel underneath if that's more comfortable for you. Otherwise, we're going to keep our hands either on the sides here or right in front. And we're going to engage the back here, chin up and out, and do a mini back bend here. Slowly change. Walk the hands forward. Try and get your forearms onto the mat. Maybe our shoulders onto the mat, and relax the head. And change. Slowly come up. Switching sides. So now I'm going to have my left foot out in front like an L. My right leg is tucked under. And I'm sitting down into the mat. And we're going to do an easy little mini back bend here. And slowly come down. Maybe the forearms come to the mat. Maybe the shoulders come to the mat. Relax the head and neck. Slowly come up. Coming to the middle. Forehead to knee. Let's bring the right foot out to the side. Left foot comes into the inner thigh, right inner thigh. Turn your hips so that they face your foot. Arms up overhead. Maybe the fingers interlace. And bend the spine forward. This is a forward bend. Curling the spine forward. Trying to touch your forehead to your knee. And change. Slowly come up. Other side. Left leg out. Right foot in. Turn to face your hip. Arm comes up overhead. Maybe interlace the fingers. Curl the spine forward. Forehead to knee. And change. Come to an easy seat. And take a breath here. Last pose. Separate leg stretching. So, staying right where you are, bring the legs out to the side. Toes facing up towards the ceiling. Be careful not to let your legs roll inward. You want to keep them pretty turned out with your kneecaps facing the ceiling. Sitting nice and tall, slowly start to walk your hands forward. Maybe you can get your elbows and your forearms onto the mat. If this is as far as you got, that's totally fine. Sit here, and after a while, believe it or not, this will start to feel comfortable. If this already feels comfortable and you want to try to go a little deeper, maybe come down and bring your forehead to the floor. Slowly come up. I invite you now to lay back, relax, enjoy your final resting pose or shavasana, corpse pose, whatever you'd like to call it. Relax the body, relax the mind. Let your legs lay long, let your arms rest at your side, let your feet turn out. Close your eyes. Try and relax every inch of your body. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. You're welcome to lay here for as long as you need. Try and give it at least a few minutes. Give your body that rest. Let it take in all of the benefits that it just got from this last class. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening and hope to see you at our next class on Wednesday at 5. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Good night.